This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC 319. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks on the card. We'll talk favorite underdogs, Degen Props of the night, and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. Last week was great for the picks, but rough and tumble as far as the lock, I guess, because I decided to go savage prop lock. Now, altogether, I went 10-2 on the card, and I swept most confident picks, and a good slew of the parlays came through as well. But I wanted to really find that Urseg sub prop to make some magic happen. Nearly had it in round 3. I was jumping up and down with excitement. That's the beauty of the beast with the fight game. And thankfully, Urseg was a part of a good handful of the parlays and that safe but boring parlay hits as well. So as far as the safer side of things and some plus money parlays, last week was good with picks being 10-2, most confident picks sweeping. Just, savage prop locks, the highest risk of them all. This week, there's no savage prop lock. There's not going to be a one underdog pick lock either, even though I got a good handful of underdogs. I got a two-leg Lock City parlay that I'm sure is hitting, and I'm feeling damn good about, ready to bring the thunder to UFC 319. So without further ado, the lock of the week. Khamzat Chimaev and Carlos Prates, Lock City parlay plus 103. It spoke to me. I made my mind up Monday that I was going to ride with this side. I've been backing Khamzat Chimaev since the jump. I remember watching tape on him pre-UFC debut when I had first started out with the channel. And I was like, yeah, this guy's the next champion. And we've seen him have a pretty dominant run. I mean, never lost a pro fight. I guess close fights with Usman and close fight with Burns. But I think that we have a different beast in the current Khamzat Chimaev than even that fight recently against Usman. He manhandled Robert Whittaker with ease like it was his job, and it was his job. He made it look too easy. Say what you want about Whittaker's teeth injury and whatnot. Khamzat was dominating on the ground, and he was moving and transitioning at a quick rate, an efficient rate, and a rate that was going to eventually get him to finish. And he got the face crank, and it's over. I mean, say what you want, whether his teeth were messed up before, to squeeze that hard and rip someone's teeth back in their jaw, it takes a special human being. Khamzat's built differently, guys. I love Khamzat Chimaev as a lock piece. Of course, the money line, bit on the wider side, right? So minus 245. You got to put it in a parlay. And that's why I'm working the magical two-leg. And I put it with Prates. I think Prates is primed to perform. Good finish against Ian Gary, even though he ended up losing the fight. And different stylistic matchup here. Jeff Neal, a lot more available to be hit. Not so much of a style based upon lateral movement and point striking and hand speed, though Jeff Neal can definitely box. He's got pro-level boxing. He has some power for sure, but I think he's going to struggle with Prates' pressure. I think he'll struggle with Prates' overall Muay Thai-based game and his comfortability out of both stances. I see the southpaw Jeff Neal's lead leg getting chopped up as well. And I think Prates is going to deliver some thunderous shots, potentially big punches. I definitely think he's got a punch power edge, even though Jeff Neal hits really hard. I would say the power favors Prates. The knees and elbows on the inside with the Muay Thai movement ability, kind of kickboxing-esque and blended for MMA. Doesn't have your traditionalist, stocky Muay Thai tight stance where they're incredibly stiff. A lot more loose than that. I think Prates looks pretty good. And I think Prates is picking apart Jeff Neal. He's minus 225. Now, I can go more in detail with Khamzat over DDP. You guys know my take. I think Khamzat gets him to the ground. I think Khamzat is levels above Drickus du Plessis in the grappling. I think du Plessis is a beast. But I'm telling you, I don't feel he's got the power to put Khamzat away. And I think Khamzat's coming in the best shape of his career. This is going to be best look Khamzat ever, bar none. I feel like he's going to be taking down Drickus du Plessis and controlling him, beating him up from top position, transitioning quickly on the mat. I think du Plessis is going to be fighting to get back up to his feet. I think he will. And then I think he's getting taken down right again. I really feel like Khamzat's wrestling is such a massive difference maker. Though Drickus du Plessis historically has solid MMA wrestling, when you look through his resume, he has never faced anybody with near the pedigree of Khamzat. Best wrestler to date that he ever fought inside of the UFC? Probably Derek Brunson in 2023. But there's no comparison between the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev and a Derek Brunson. He was able to manhandle Kamaru Usman easily in round one. Of course, it was a competitive fight in the second and third, and Usman was coming in on short notice. But if you can do that to somebody that's a dominant force in wrestling, when you have a Duplessis who still, though has quality grappling, base of the game is powerful striking and not one punch knockout power, but more of an ability to wear you down, consistently press forward on you. The gas tank stays high and the output stays high. I don't think he's got the pop to sting Khamzat and put him out. I don't think he's got the grappling defense to keep Khamzat at bay. I think Khamzat's going to beat him up, potentially submit him in the first or second round. I think that his strangles are too much. Duplessis does have one loss via submission against Gareth McKellen way back, 2014, but he was caught in a gilly then. And I'm not saying that he's got a weakness to gillies, but Khamzat does have nasty Darce, Anaconda, front headlock positions, nasty rear naked choke, and hellish ground and pound. How can I not be confident in Khamzat? I've doubled down on this pick for years, though. You know what I'm saying? I've been picking Khamzat since before this fight was announced. I've been picking Khamzat since his debut. The Destiny is championship run, and I'll be damned if I don't put him in the Lock City parlay this week. Khamzat, Chimaev, and New. And I think Carlos Prates, Jeff Neal could end up going distance, though I'm leaning Prates by KO. The one worry with it is Neal historically eats a pretty good punch. He's only been knocked out one time as a pro, and it was in the third round outside of the UFC against Kevin Holland. Though I think Prates could put him away, because I really am curious to see how Neal deals with Prates' pressure. I feel like a lot of the times Neal has that like bullying advantage. I mean, he gave Ian Gary a really tough fight, but styles make the fight. Gary's style is more based upon the movement, staying away, and Neal was tracking him down. Neal is much more available to be hit for a Prates as opposed to, you know, how Neal and Gary went. Gary didn't have the power to keep him off. Prates got the touch of death. And I think Carlos Prates could hurt Neal in this fight. Potential knockout, but I could also see him taking it on the cards and Jeff Neal giving him a decent matchup. He's a staple of the UFC welterweight division. He's a good gatekeeper, but I do think Prates is still pretty primed for the top. And that later stage of the fight against Ian Gary, he did show why the hype was always so high. And I think Neal's getting stung up and probably looks like Ivan Drago versus Apollo Creed at the end of it. I'm thinking Neal's busted open, potentially stopped in the second or third round, but chasing the knockout prop doesn't call me. That's why I put it in the two legs. So for the parlay, the odds plus 103. I think this is a money lock city. I like that both of these fights are on the pay-per-view as well, so it adds anticipation with two big picks of the night with Khamzat and Prates as my two-leg magical call. Now, I got other parlays that I got for this card, which we'll talk about at the end, but I'm feeling real good about putting these two get together for the Lock City parlay. So UFC 319, I'm locking the two-leg. I got Khamzat Chimaev and Carlos Prates to handle business, and new champ and Prates and still that motherfucker. Let's jump to the most confident picks on the card. Now, I'm going to bring them up on screen. And what you're going to see is two familiar faces. Yes, Khamzat and Prates are most confident picks. I'm not going to skate around them and just add other picks in for the sake of the show, because then I'll be lying to you, and I'm not doing that. I'm telling you the truth. Prates and Khamzat, confident calls. You already knew that. Chase Hooper. I really think he's levels above Alexander Hernandez on the ground. Now, he's in the minus 320 range as a favorite. He deserves that tag. He's on a 5-fight winning streak and an oppressive and a dominant 5-fight winning streak. You look at the side of Alexander Hernandez. Okay win against Kurt Hollabaugh, but it was a competitive fight. Decent win against Austin Hubbard. I thought that he deserved it at the end of it, but not blown away. Chase Hooper has been knocked out before at 145. Chase Hooper has only lost in the UFC at 145. He has moved up to 155. He's put on muscle size. He's improved his kickboxing skill set. And I think he's reaching a new high as far as his career goes. I mean, say what you want about, oh, well, Slava got dropped because he was so worried about the grappling. He still dropped a high-level kickboxer in Slava Claus and beat the shit out of him on the ground. Chase Hooper is levels better than Alexander Hernandez at jiu-jitsu, and I don't think Hernandez has the stopping power on the feet, nor do I think he has the takedown defense that's going to hold up for extended periods of time in this fight. I see Hernandez eventually on the ground, and I see Hernandez eventually getting subbed up. I think that Chase Hooper has a very unique grappling style, nasty dexterity, long limbs, long legs, long arms, kind of a narrow build, so he's got like all length in the limbs. And I think that definitely aids to his choke game for sure. And I feel like Hernandez live to get caught in a rear naked choke. He was submitted by Hanato Moicano a few years ago by rear naked choke. I can see the same thing here with Chase Hooper locking it in. Now, at worst, Hooper is probably dominating position on the ground and then taking a dominant unanimous decision home. It's easy to look past Chase Hooper at times because people remember what was before, but recognize this is lightweight Chase Hooper, who's a maestro on the ground. And though he's a wide favorite at minus 320, I'm pretty sure he's a quality lock for this card. And I definitely think he's somebody to put in a two-leg parlay. He'll be in some safer parlays at the end and some more high-risk ones when we talk parlays. Yes, Chase Hooper to handle business. That's a most confident pick for me. Now, on the screen, you see over 2.5 for Lupi Godinez and Jessica Andrade. I think that fight's going distance. I feel very good about that fight going distance. And I said to myself, it's UFC 319. It's a pay-per-view. I want to give you guys my true most confident of most confident. I don't want to add in something that I feel might not be 100% true to the big four. Could throw an honorable mention of something else out there. But I really feel strongly that we're going to see the side of Godinez and Andrade in a competitive back and forth 3-round fight. Now, officially, my prediction is Godinez by decision. Andrade hits hard, but I don't see her knocking Godinez out. Godinez has incredible grit. She has strong wrestling. I think she can box with Andrade. She's actually going to have better straight punches. But it's not about who wins it. It's about why it's going long. I don't see Andrade getting strangled, though at times mentally she checks out. I don't think here. I think she gets outworked and outpositioned over 3 hard and probably loses a 29-28. Decision spoke to me. I said that over 2.5 sounds too good to be true. Lupi Godinez, though she has some submission wins, I mean, if you look at the most recent 2 Ws, hard-fought decision. She struggled in the 3rd round with Pilastri a little bit, but I don't know. She had to take a shit, man. Poopy Lupi was struggling because of that. She was holding in the fucking you know what. So I think it threw off her rhythm round 3. I think with Andrade, she can push a hard 3-round pace. I think she can land some key takedowns, win some of the striking exchanges. The chin should hold up. I think she takes a good punch. Mexican chin. They always hold up most of the time. Not Urbina last week, but that is what it is. I think that we're going to see Lupi Godinez go out there and take it on the judges' scorecards. And I really feel like over 2.5 made a lot of sense as far as a most confident pick. Now, next one that I'm feeling real good about, I'll bring it up. Special edition 5th. We got Michael Venom Page and Jared Cannonier also to go over 2.5 rounds at minus 260. I think there's a real possibility that these two are destined to go distance. Michael Venom Page, incredible movement, unorthodox kickboxing style, long reach, hard to track down for a 41-year-old Cannonier. If Cannonier is to win, I don't think it's a blistering knockout. I think it's some punch combinations into takedowns and some cage control. For Page on the other side, I don't think he has the punching power to put away Jared Cannonier at 185. When you think of Page, you think of precision, striking technique, and sure, he's had some impressive knockouts outside of the UFC, but to be fair, a lot of those guys welterweights, and some of them even like Goichi Yamamuchi, who was moving up from the lightweight division, right? I don't think he's putting Cannonier to bed. I think he could sting Cannonier with a shot, but I don't think he has the power to put him away. And I don't think he has the follow-up ability either to put him away. And Page is a safety-first stylist. I'm going to probably assume Page to win a hard-fought 3-round decision. A lot of lateral movement. Page being very hard to track down. And I think that Cannonier is going to be caught chasing a lot. I think Page is going to win the fight, similar to how he won against Ashara Magomedov by outpointing, staying from distance, very hard to catch with that karate-style stance in the hands low, very hard to read with his unorthodox abilities, and I think we're going to see a unanimous decision probably for Michael Venom Page, and the over 2.5 just made a lot of sense. At minus 260, it seems to me over 2.5 is a lock. So I wanted to throw you guys 5 most confident with 2 over 2.5s, but I feel as though I would be wrong not to add one more straight money line fight that I feel has a chance to come through, though my confidence levels of the 5 lines that I have mentioned are more of the most confident picks. This is going to be a number 6, right? The 6th man of the fucking year right here. The 6th man of the card. I'm giving you guys a 6th man. I really feel like Kai Asakura should be able to beat Tim Elliott, but with that being said, though I feel confident in his abilities, I do not like a minus 300 betting line. I like a minus 200 betting line. It's minus 300. I do not like Kai Asakura as a chalky favorite straight down the center, but as an addition to a wider parlay, I do think for some extra value, If you throw him more of a long shot together, you could put him in at 3-1 odds. He's primed, younger than Tim Elliott, big striking advantage, should be capable defensively and grappling, though Tim Elliott very strong. I was thinking about not putting in Asakura until on the live. He was actually my honorable mention, but I said I'll throw a sixth man because I really feel like Asakura's striking is awesome. I think he can land a big knee to the body here. His knees to the body are underrated aspects of his game, and I do think he's a big favorite for a reason. I think he could be one of the first. I think the only guy to ever knock Tim Elliott out. Tim Elliott's been submitted before, but never KO'd as a pro. No, he was KO'd once as a pro, long time ago. But I think the body shot KO could end up being actually the ultimate difference maker. I think we could see Elliott hurt to the body and then Asakura blitz him and follow up with a TKO with some ground and pound. So Asakura, confident call. I do think he pulls through. Just to mention, for KO, it's only plus 165. Not a great line, especially against a guy who has, historically been quite durable. But yeah, I think Kai Asakura shows levels in this matchup. And as a 3-1 favorite, it's oversized, but I think he's got a fair shake to win it. I do believe he pulls through. So Kai Asakura to find a way, I think it makes sense here. I feel like his skill set should carry. I think so. I really do. I think Asakura's skill set should carry. I think he can get this done. I really believe that. I think he's quite good. And I don't think we're going to see Tim Elliott wrestling him up for 3 rounds. I think Asakura is defensively sound. Easy to pinpoint. Oh, well, Pantoja did it. Pantoja is the best in the world at 125, Tim Elliott, tough, top 15 gatekeeper, tricky style, awkward as hell, veteran savvy, and could grab the cage and grab the gloves. We've seen him bend the rules like the Ulanbekov win some years ago, but out a year and 7 months, don't like it. I'm going to pick the striker. I'm going to go Asakura. And I think confident pick, but confident pick regardless of odds. I don't like the 3-1 line. I hate it, actually. Very ugly. Let's keep running. I want to talk about my favorite underdogs on the card. I have 3 dogs that I really like on this card. I want to go one by one with the underdogs, and then we'll, talk about why with each one of them. First up is going to be Nursultan Ruziboev. I like his chances against Bryan Battle, especially in a middleweight fight. I think his physicality is a factor. Battle's wrestling is a bit overrated, to be fair. He does have a slight takedown game, but it's not an incredible takedown game. And when you look at his most impressive wins inside of the UFC, he was 175 pounds for a welterweight fight against Randy Brown, where he won by a very contested split decision. A lot of people felt Brown should have won with more significant strikes. And then his other big impressive win, the Gabe Green one-shot KO, he won that fight quickly, but he also missed weight. So he's had a lot of weight issues for 170, moving up to 185. He's not the biggest 85er, but he's definitely not a small 85er at 6'1". But he's taken on Nursultan Ruziboev that fills the frame out nicely. I don't know how Ruziboev made 170 to fight Buckley. And I think that Ruziboev's defensive grappling is better than he showed against Joaquin Buckley. I think Ruziboev in a hard-fought fight. I think Ruziboev can land some big shots on the feet. I think Ruziboev could win the clinch battles more from a defensive standpoint. I think Battle will probably be the one pressing him against the cage, but I think with that height advantage, leverages favor Ruziboev, and I could see him creating space and then getting to striking. Could see it looking similar to the Randy Brown fight, but without that weight edge, I think Battle ends up getting hit with bigger shots. And I do think Nursultan Ruziboev has the grappling defense to hold him in. And to be fair, hard to see him getting submitted. Ruziboev has 20 sub wins, only 1 sub loss. I don't think Battle's taking him down and strangling him, though he has pretty good jiu-jitsu. I can't really see it, man. I think of Renat Fakhretdinov bodying him on the ground. And I think that Ruziboev, live underdog, as far as plus 145 goes, pretty good odds, man. I think Nursultan Ruziboev hand raised is what's coming. I'm going with Ruziboev. I'm going to pick the side decision officially here. Ruziboev by decision, if you were looking to chase that, sits at plus 375, but plus 145 on the Ruziboev money line. Live to get a close one against Bryan Battle. I think Bryan Battle's game, and I feel as though he wins around, but I think Ruziboev is the slicker striker. Being 6'5", I give him a slight physicality advantage. And Battle's biggest advantage normally at welterweight is his size and ability to impose his will. Not going to have that here against Ruziboev, which is why I like the Ruziboev side. So picking Nursultan to get it done. Let's keep running. Next up, Gerald Meerschaert. I really feel like this could be a bit of a give me. I think Gerald Meerschaert's got a nice sub win incoming. The dude has insane amounts of submissions, 29 submission wins. And he's facing off against McCall Oleksiejczuk, who has lost by submission 6 times. Oleksiejczuk is known as a bad grappler. Got submitted by Kevin Holland after dropping him. Got submitted by Michel Pereira quickly after getting hurt. I think Gerald Meerschaert finds a way. 15 minutes to work. At some point, it'll end up on the ground, and I think Meerschaert can do something. Now, I understand a lot of people singing the praises of Mikhail Oleksiejczuk changing gyms. He's at Fighting Nerds now. The grappling there is better. I agree with that for sure. But about a year at Fighting Nerds, does that equal defending one of the trickiest sub-artists at middleweight? I'm not so sure. And I'm going to say no. I'm going to favor the side of Gerald Meerschaert at some point to find a submission in the fight. It's also a battle of southpaws, which makes it interesting because I think Meerschaert maybe is looking to shoot double legs, not so much to even take him down with a double leg, but to press him up against the cage, control against the cage a bit, look for trips against the cage, look to climb the back. I think Oleksiejczuk could sting Meerschaert, follow him to the ground, looking for a knockout, as many do, and then they fall victim. With Oleksiejczuk, his best bet is to never rock Gerald Meerschaert in this fight and just win a boxing-heavy decision. Don't think he does that. GM3 is going to be shooting a lot. I know some will say, oh, but Brad Tavares stopped every takedown. Brad Tavares historically is incredibly well-rounded, and he's a high-caliber generalist. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is simply just a boxer, really. Of course, not that he doesn't know how to grapple, not like he has no grappling, but 6 submission losses. 2 of his last 3 losses are also by sub, and to be fair, the one that was a decision loss was Shara Bullet, who really doesn't have a capable ground game. Defensively, sure, but offensively, no. So I think Gerald Meerschaert by submission makes a lot of sense. He's a big underdog in this spot, sitting at plus 185. I think that it's a pretty wide line for a guy that's such a clear path by sub. So much better on the ground, plus 350. And Meerschaert's striking is not that bad. He gets a bad reputation, right? People think, oh, well, Hamzat put him away in one shot. But Meerschaert normally eats a good punch. Got a pretty solid chin, and he's got a good comeback ability. I think Gerald Meerschaert by submission makes too much sense for me to overlook. I don't think Oleksiejczuk has the grappling defense. At some point, they'll hit the mat, and at some point, he's getting tapped. I'm going Gerald Meerschaert by submission. Now, next up with the dogs, I like Lerone Murphy. Of course, this is kind of the battle of the best prospect outside of the UFC who's fought at a decent caliber, being a Bellator and PFL fighter, Aaron Pico, and Lerone Murphy, who's 8-0-1 in the UFC, coming off main event wins and like surging at the top right now. Very hard for me to go against somebody that has the UFC experience. I have to favor an undefeated UFC record over a red-hot prospect. Aaron Pico's 9-1 in his last 10 fights, and that loss was against Jeremy Kennedy where he blew his shoulder out. But when you dig deeper into the wins, a James Gonzalez wrestling-heavy decision, he outpositioned him, was able to control and get a dominant W. And, you know, I would say it was impressive to see him showcase the wrestling, which is very good. But does he body Lerone Murphy like that? Lerone Murphy is a physically imposing threat. He's defensively sound in wrestling with a good get-up game and a very effective technical kickboxing game. And then beat Pedro Carvalho by knockout, which impressive, but Carvalho's, you know, not very good, 13-7 at the time. Then he's been out for a year and 5 months, and he beat a short notice Henry Corrales, actually up at 155. He avenged the loss to Corrales, but it was a completely washed Corrales. Now, I'm not saying Pico isn't a great prospect. At 28, he is coming into his prime, and he is a red-hot up-and-comer. But I'll be damned, man. Lerone Murphy is on the verge of title contention and a debut. We've seen it, man. These Bellator guys, they say, welcome to the UFC, and then they tend to fucking take losses, man. Lerone Murphy, I think, is too much of a jump right away. Pico should have gotten his feet wet with a little bit more of a light touch fight before getting jumped up to this level. Now, Pico has explosive boxing, nasty body shot combinations, big power that he rips to the head. He's fast as hell. He's physically strong. He's a high caliber wrestler. He's a great athlete, and he's a guy to watch. But I can't pick against a seasoned UFC veteran who's undefeated as a pro and battle tested as well. I think Lerone Murphy finds a way to get a nitty-gritty decision in a close fight. What's crazy is the odds are quite wide. I mean, Lerone Murphy sitting around plus 155. Odds at open were, you know, a little bit closer, plus 130. They even went, you know, to plus 110 at one point. But now, plus 155 lines for Lerone Murphy. Aaron Pico sitting as a minus 180 favorite. I just think near 2-1 odds for a debuting guy like Pico, though he's an awesome prospect, and yeah, he fought in a good league. he's got prospect wins. I mean, his last 3 fights, to me, Gonzalez, Carvalho, and Corrales, these are not near top 15 level featherweights. These are not really UFC caliber. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think that they have winning UFC records if they were in the octagon, especially fighting at the time that Pico fought them. I mean, the Jeremy Kennedy fight, he blew out his shoulder, was unfortunate nearly 3 years ago. Adlai Edwards' decision was impressive. I remember I called the over 1.5 in that fight and it hit years ago, back when I used to cover Bellator. I think we're going to see Lerone Murphy by decision. I think Lerone Murphy is crafty and technically sound enough, and his physicality should aid him in wrestling defense. Big red flag about Pico, and this has actually cost him in fights, and he's been knocked out earlier in his career, sits in the pocket a little bit too long with that reckless, abandoned style, and Lerone Murphy hits pretty hard. Though he's not getting knockouts left and right, he has clean punching skills, and he can box for sure. I'm going to say UFC experience carries weight. I think Lerone Murphy gets a hard-fought decision, is stepping in on short notice, but he stays ready at all times. Pico was initially supposed to fight against Movsar Evloev on that De Ridder and Whitaker card, and Movsar injured. Lerone Murphy, savage, steps in, smart move. I think that they were throwing Pico to the Lions right away with Movsar. I was going to pick Movsar probably to win that decision. And I think I'm going Lerone Murphy too. So Lerone Murphy as an underdog, I think he's live at plus 155. I do feel like over 2.5 at minus 210 is possible. With Pico's reckless abandoned style, I mean, not crazy if Murphy pulled off a big KO at plus 550, but I respect his game. I'm going to say decision win, Lerone Murphy, and he's an underdog that I think checks out, and I like him here. So Lerone Murphy to close out the dog section. I think he pulls through. Let's jump to the Degen props of the night. Now, with the Degen prop section, I was like, okay, I want to find some fun lines, right? Especially because I have some overs already in most confident picks, but I wanted a plus money over. Battle Ruziboev over 2.5 at plus 100. I think that hits. I believe those two go over 2.5 rounds. I was surprised to see plus money for an over. So plus 100 on that over 2.5, to me, seems sensible. I think hand raised towards Ruziboev, but it's going to be close, and Bryan Battle's still capable for sure. And I just called him Ruziboev, man. You got me fucking talking too quick over here. I'm having too much fun. I'm getting too loose up in here. But I like the over there. Now, Meerschaert to win by submission, that's a very sensible call because I think he probably wins by sub, plus 350 range for that. But Meerschaert no distance, which is better, right? If the fight ends inside of the distance and Meerschaert wins by sub, you're good to go. If he wins by knockout somehow, you're good to go. Now, if he ends up getting knocked out, you lose. But if the fight goes to decision, which I think it could, because Meerschaert's durability is quite sound, you actually get your money back. Plus 215 for Meerschaert, no distance here. It was actually plus 275 earlier today, but the lines come down. So it might be something to go out and get. If Meerschaert is to win the fight inside of the distance, and if he loses, if it's not by a finish, then you get your money back. So I'm going to say Meerschaert, no distance, plus 215. If he happens to win a decision, you get the money back. So not a terrible plus 215 line. Obviously, I like the money line side as well at plus 185, but I felt worth mentioning. And now next up, I think Chase Hooper. I think Hooper by submission is quite live. Right now, it sits at 2-1 odds. I do think it probably cashes at that 2-1 line. Should be able to sub up Hernandez. Now, this is going to be one for the OG fans. Edson Barboza by knockout, I think is a real possibility at plus 275. I see Klose is a little chinny. I think Edson could probably put him away, plus 275 for that one. Maybe not as crazy about it because Edson's in his late 30s, as is Drakkar Klose. And, you know, he's had some mixed results at featherweight, now moving back up to lightweight. But I'm predicting a vintage and rejuvenated Edson Barboza finds an impressive win on a numbered UFC card. Just kind of seems written in the stars, I'm feeling. So Edson Barboza KO, also a part of the section. Now, I want to get to everybody's favorite section. I know you've all been waiting for it. Let's jump to the parlays to play. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you all hit that damn like button. And if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Jessica Andrade, Godinez over 2.5, and Paige Cannonier over 2.5 at minus 123. I'm going to take the final sip of this coffee here. I believe the 2 over should hit. Minus 123 seems like a pretty fair line for it, too. I think possible. Now, going one below, you want a little alternate action with, Lock City, you already know, Chimaev and Prates. But maybe you don't like Prates. I think you can still hit nicely. It's not plus money, but it's highly probable. With 2 nasty grapplers in Chase Hooper and Khamzat Chimaev with clear edges in those areas, minus 118, I think that's a safe parlay. I think that should be a lock, too. Keep on moving down. Now, for plus 142, I call it the good three. Chimaev, Hooper, and the Andrade Godinez over 2.5 rounds. At plus 142, I like this one a lot. Now, for those that maybe like Drickus du Plessis, you're not crazy about Hamzat, I think at the very least, we can see eye to eye on some of these other ones. Prates, Hooper, Andrade Godinez over 2.5. This is the alternate of the good three at plus 148. I think that hits as well. Now, if you want to go for 3 locks on the card, Chimaev, Prates, Hooper, all should hit. Plus 167. I like the probability. I think it's quite high, and I like the odds for it. Now, if you want to go dog city, you go Chimaev, Ruziboev. They've been working together this week. Obviously, we saw Susarkayev, been working with Chimaev too, pull off a nasty, nasty, nasty win on Contender Series last night. I like it at plus 245, dog city. I like it a lot. Let's keep moving. 3 overs here. We got Andrade Godinez over 2.5. Paige Cannonier over 2.5, and Battle and Ruziboev over 2.5 at plus 262. I like those 3 overs. Now, for a confident pick sweep, Chimaev, Prates, Hooper, Andrade Godinez over 2.5, and Paige Cannonier over 2.5 plus 383. That's for, the real stable 5. Now, if you wanted to add in the 6-man on the lineup and you want to throw Asakura in your slate, plus 544 for the live 5-to-1, I actually really like that too. You don't want to play Asakura, you got a great plus 383 line with all lines that make sense to me, and I think they all hit. And then if you feel like, all right, I like Asakura's kickboxing, I think Tim Elliott's past his best days, I feel like this is one to hammer. I believe in this. Plus 544. I mean, that's pretty damn nice. Now, one below. Chimaev, Prates, Hooper, Ruziboev, Battle over 2.5, Andrade Godinez over 2.5, and the Cannonier Page over 2.5. This is more Degen at plus 867. You have confident picks, and you got the slight plus 100 lean with the Ruziboev and Battle over 2.5. Plus 867 is beautiful money for something that I really do have the foresight for. I'm like, this makes sense to me. Keep on moving. Doggy style at plus 883. Chimaev, Ruziboev, and Meerschaert. 2 big underdogs, and Hamzat Chimaev to fucking pull through. I love it at plus 883. Now keep on moving. Chimaev, Prates, Hooper, Ruziboev, Andrade Godinez over 2.5, Cannonier Page over 2.5. So you're putting the Ruziboev dog line on the line with the confident picks on the card, plus 1,084, savage. Straight savage, because that's what it is. Now, if you want the savage Degen play, got Chimaev, Prates, Hooper, Ruziboev, and Meerschaert. Andrade Godinez over 2.5, Cannonier Page over 2.5 at plus 3,275. Now we're going pretty savage mode with that. I feel like that one in itself is kind of fantastic, but I do like to give you guys a little extra love. Now, a thought that crossed my mind was, all right, what if we blended some props together and we wanted to make some type of magic happen? What if you just go Chimaev inside distance around the minus 136 range, right? And then on top of that, you're like, okay, who else can pull through? Well, I think you could consider adding in the side of Prates straight down the center. It's plus 147 for that. I think then you could add potentially Hooper by sub if you believe he's got the strangle game, which I do. Hooper by sub brings you to plus 630 for Chimaev inside distance, Prates, and Hooper by submission. Now, if you want to take Prates out, just those two together, Chimaev inside distance and Hooper sub, plus 412. Want to take it a step further? I know you guys do. I can almost hear you guys like, hell yeah, give me another step. What if we threw Meerschaert just as a straight underdog in there? You got plus 1359 for Chimaev inside distance, Hooper submission, and GM3 straight underdog lineup. Now, if you want to throw something safer in it as well, the over 2.5 in the loopy fight, you're at 1,800 now. You want to keep running? You want to go a little crazier? You want to add in the Cannonier Page over 2.5? Now you're at plus 2,492. We're going big. We're going big or we're going home. That's really the only way. And then if you're like, fuck it, I believe in Prates money line, let's do it. Plus 3,595, even bigger than the Savage Degen call. Then if you want to take it to that next step, and this is where you're going animalistic, you go with the side of Meerschaert and Ruziboev, you got plus 8,954. Drop a W in the chat or a sneaky in the chat, actually, if you listen for that one. That's Degen as fuck. It is. It's so Degen, but like I have to mention these types of things. It makes the show fun. I know some of you guys love it, and I think it's the right way to do it. Now, I do want to give you guys kind of like a Degen, but also safer Degen. I think Chimaev inside distance is going to come to fruition at minus 136. Though, obviously, I'd rather go, Chimaev money line because you don't have to risk methods of victory. Chimaev inside distance with the side of Meerschaert and Ruziboev plus 325. That one's pretty good. And then if you're like, okay, well, I like Chase Hooper to win as well, you could just put the fucking fat line of Chase Hooper on your slate. Instead of looking for anything crazy, you got plus 456. But if you do feel like he's getting the sub, Hooper by submission, add him in there. I mean, now we're taking it to fucking new levels of savagery. Plus 1154. So Ruziboev as a dog wins, Chimaev inside distance, and then that Hooper by submission. And then if you're like, fuck it, man, I want to keep making magic happen. Let's take it a step further. Okay, we can go for the over in the Lupita Godinez fight, which is going to give you a lot of love when you're already at the plus 1100. Now you're at plus 1534. I mean, there's ways to go Degen. You hear what I'm saying? You can always add a little more. Page and Cannonier over 2.5, plus 2,129. You want to throw fucking Meerschaert? You got plus 6,251. But fuck it, you want to go Meerschaert by submission? Plus 11,934. There you go. Now, if you just want to go 3 grapplers on your lineup, you go Khamzat Chimaev, right? You throw him in the slate by. Let's go inside distance for the fun of it, but you could just go money line, to be honest. Khamzat Chimaev, okay? Then you're going to believe in Chase Hooper's sub game. Chase Hooper by submission, plus 195. You're at plus 412 now for the ITD and the sub. And then you go Gerald Meerschaert also by submission. This is getting crazy. Plus 2,664. And then if you're like, all right, you know what? I might as well fucking throw Ruziboev. Plus 6,673. There's ways you can spin it. There always is. There always is. The over 2.5 in the Page fight. The over 2.5 in the Godinez fight. You're at the plus 11 again. And then you add in Kaya Sakura. Plus 15,945. Yes, that's Degen as hell. I'm having too much fun with it. But a little sneaky Degen shit. Obviously, the stuff I wrote down, it came to me, it made the most sense, but I always like to do stuff on the live to have some fun with you guys and, you know, push it to another fucking level. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you like Lerone Murphy, you throw him in, you got plus 42,000 now. All right? So, actually, almost plus 43, plus 42,099. There we go. We're almost 42-1. But play it safer. You know, if you're looking to throw serious capital down, the safer parlays are your best bets. If you're looking just to, you know, chase some plus money, have fun with some Degens and a few bucks, different conversation. But if you are gambling on the UFC, do your own research. See where your research lines up with my research. Yes, I swept most confident picks. Yes, most weeks the safer parlays definitely hit. And sometimes the Degen stuff does as well, the savage parlays and all. And I'm feeling great about this week. I'm confident in my calls, and I do see possibilities of some of those bigger lines in the big plus money territory, like near plus 800, 900, 1,000 range, even the plus 3,000 is live. Safer way to play it is normally, you know, throwing down on what you're confident in and not going too fucking crazy. And actually, I meant to make one. I almost forgot. Khamzat Chimaev, Carlos Prates, Kaya Sakura, the over in the Page Cannonier fight, the over in the Lupita Godinez fight. And what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we got one more that I'm missing. And of course, we're missing my boy Chase Hooper. Where is he? And Chase Hooper. Plus 538 if you go for the sweep of the most confident picks with the fucking 6-man. Actually, I think I already mentioned this. What am I doing? I'm mentioning it again. So then we might as well take it to another step. Also, add in the side of Ruziboev because you believe in Team Khamzat. Plus 1463. There you go. There's to close it out. But bet intelligently, I'm telling you. Don't blindly tail do your own research, but listen, I'm putting the work in. You guys know if you tune into the show often enough. I'm going to be live for the whole card Saturday. Tune into the Fight Companion at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I love you guys. I got content all week. I'll be live all week. I'll be doing videos all week. So keep it locked in with your boy. Smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. Make sure you share the video too. Let me know what you think of the Lock City in the comments down below. And just everything. Let me know what you're thinking. What are your lock cities? What are your favorite dogs? What are your favorite props? What are your favorite parlays? I want to hear from the people. You got nothing to say in the comments, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching. I see you all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.